News live in Dallas, where police say this whole thing began late last night. We know this is a developing story. Tiffany, what's the latest?
Yeah, well, Mark Herrick here on Ledbetter. This is where it all started. Right now, we're not seeing nearly as many officers as we were just a few hours ago, but I can tell you that this is still very much an active scene. This section of Ledbetter for several blocks is closed from Marsalis Dell to University Hills. We know this happened after 10 o'clock last night. Sources tell us an officer was responding to a call here, and those sources believe he was ambushed. Dallas Police Department confirmed this morning that officer was shot inside his car. Two backup officers came and they were shot as well. Now this morning I listened to the radio traffic from after the shooting. You could hear officers were doing CPR on one of their own as they were waiting for the ambulance to arrive. And you could hear the panic in the voice of these first responders. They know every second and every minute counts after their three officers were shot.
Real talk, I didn't even know about dogs. My kids got the dog. They brought them home from the shelter, and I didn't even want them. They're like, can we keep them? Nope. I said, where do you get this dog? And they got them from the shelter. I said, good. Too bad. Probably something wrong with them. Can't keep them. And then my kids started crying and screaming like the dog had gambling. That's please, man. If you don't let us keep them, they're going to kill them. I'll let you keep them. Let's go. Yes.
This character.
Vice President, Governor Walz, thank you so much for sitting down with me and bringing the bus. Bus tour is well underway here in Georgia. You have less time to make your case to voters than any candidate in modern American history.
They call me
The
in.
voters want to hear what your plans are. If you are,
That's
what would you
crazy.
do on day one in
This is
winning?
crazy. My
Well,
first time seeing
there
shit
are,
like this.
I will tell you
And then they
first
looking at
and
his body.
foremost, one of my highest priorities is to do what we can to support and strengthen the middle class. When I look at the aspirations, the goals, the ambitions of the American people, I think that people are ready for a new way forward. Um, in a way that generations of Americans have been fueled by hope and by optimism. I think sadly, in the last decade, um, we have had in the former president someone who has really been pushing an agenda and an environment that is about diminishing the character and the strength of who we are as Americans, really dividing our nation, and I think people are ready to turn the page on it. What would you do day one? Day one, it's going to be about, one, implementing my plan for what I call an opportunity economy. I've already laid out a number of proposals in that regard, which include what we're going to do to bring down the cost of everyday goods, what we're going to do to invest in America's small businesses, what we're going to do to invest in families, for example, extending the child tax credit to $6,000 for families for the first year of their child's life to help them buy a car seat, help them buy baby clothes, a crib. There's the work that we're going to do that is about investing in the American family around affordable housing, a big issue in our country right now. So there are a number of things on day one. But you?
Well, I'm excited about this agenda too. As I said, the idea of inspiring America. Many percent of the revenue proposing are things that we share in values of child tax credit that reduces child poverty by a third in Minnesota to have a federal partner in this. Unbelievable, I think, in the impact that we can make.
You talked about, you call it the opportunity economy. You are well aware that right now many Americans are struggling. There's a crisis of affordability. One of your campaign themes is we're not going back. But I wonder what you say to voters who do want to go back when it comes to the economy specifically, because their groceries were less expensive, housing was more affordable when Donald Trump was president.
Well, let's start with the fact that when Joe Biden and I came in office, during the height of the pandemic, we saw over 10 million jobs were lost. People, literally, we were all tracking the numbers. Hundreds of people a day were dying because of COVID. The economy had crashed. In large part, all of that because of mismanagement by Donald Trump of that crisis. When we came in, our highest priority was to do what we could to rescue America, and today we know that we have inflation at under 3%. A lot of our policies have led to the reality that America recovered faster than any wealthy nation around the world.
Bitch, you went from 2% to 9%, bitch, in almost 3 months.
Which is why my agenda includes what we need to do to bring down the price of groceries. For example,
Bitch, you brought the price of groceries up.
What we need to do to extend the child tax credit to help young families be able to take care of their children in their most formative years. What we need to do to bring down the cost of housing. My proposal includes what would be a tax credit of $25,000 for first-time home buyers, so they can just have enough to put a down payment on a home, which is part of the American dream and their aspiration.
Bitch, but you giving the American dream away to motherfucking people over here illegally.
You have been vice president for 3.5 years. The steps that you're talking about now, why have you done them already?
Nah.
Well, first of all, we had to recover as an economy, and we have done that. And I'm very proud of the work that we have done that has brought inflation to less than 3%. The work that we have done to cap the cost of insulin at $35.
Don't fuck about no fucking insulin. Take care of your fucking self. You won't need no fucking insulin.
We did it. So now, as I travel in the state of Georgia and around our country, the number of seniors that have benefited, I was in Nevada recently, a grandmother showed me her receipts. And before we capped the cost of insulin for seniors at $35 a month, she was paying hundreds of dollars up to thousands of dollars a month for her insulin. She's not doing that. And you maintain Bidenomics. It's a success. I maintain that when we do the work of bringing down prescription medication for the
Bitch.
American people, including capping the cost.
She asked you a simple fucking question. Was Bidenomics a success? A simple question. Is Bidenomics a success? You went past that question, baby.
When we do what we have done to invest in the American
Man, you gonna break us.
back to the United States.
We $35 trillion in debt because of y'all.
Manufacturing jobs, bringing business back to America. What we have done to improve the supply chain, so we're not relying on foreign governments to supply American families with their basic needs. I'll say that that's good work.
Wow.
There's more to do, but that's good work.
I want to get some clarity on where you stand on some key policy issues.
Wow.
Energy is a big one. When you were in Congress, you supported the Green New Deal. And in 2019, you said, quote, "There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking." Fracking, as you know, is a pretty big issue, particularly in your must-win state of Pennsylvania. Do you still want to ban fracking?
You know, and I made that clear on the debate stage in 2020 that I would not ban fracking. As vice president, I did not ban fracking. As president, I will not ban fracking.
Oh, come on now.
In 2019,
You playing
I
us
believe,
now.
in a town hall, you said you were asked, would you commit to implementing a federal ban on fracking in your first day in office? And you said, there's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So yes. So it changed in that campaign.
In 2020, I made very clear where I stand. We are in 2024, and I've not changed that position, nor will I going forward. I kept my word, and I will keep my word.
What made you change that position at the time?
Well,
Let's be clear. My values have not changed. I believe it is very important that we take seriously what we must do to guard against what is a clear crisis in terms of the climate.
That's bullshit.
And
That's bullshit. There ain't no such thing, no fucking climate change, bitch.
the Inflation Reduction
Just like seasons change. Y'all fucking with the weather.
Probably $1 trillion over the next 10 years, investing in a clean energy economy. What we've already done, creating over 300,000 new clean energy jobs, that tells me, from my experience as vice president, we can do it without banning fracking. In fact, Dana, I cast the tie-breaking vote that actually increased leases for fracking as vice president. So I'm very clear about where I stand.
Was there some policy or scientific data that you saw that you said, oh, okay, I get it.
Come on now. Come on.
What
Talk to
I
me.
have seen is that we can grow and we can increase a thriving clean energy economy without banning fracking.
she changed stuff a lot, man. Wow.
Flip flop. Call a flipper. Call a flipper. Call a flipper.
No, I'm not gonna lie. She
Call a flipper. Yeah, she's talking good game. Call her flipper. Call her flipper. Call her flipper.
Some of those were good questions, but just listen to her answer. It's like she says what she knows the right answer to the question is, but it's like, can I really believe you? And she was like, well, you say you won't ban fracking, but you already said you banned fracking. So she called her on the bullshit. She's like, well, I just said that because that was what we should do then. I'm saying that because this is what we should do now. I did ban it. So I'm like, I don't think she answered those questions. No, she didn't answer that. She didn't answer that question at all. She did not answer that kind of question at all. She was like, so do you stand by Bidenomics? She was like, well, this. She was like, so you think people are better off now? Well, people are paying less for insulin than Medicare. Like, okay, you didn't answer the question. So like, I think she talks a good game. Like the way she danced around that question with that.
Yeah,
answer,
that was
you
gay.
would think she answered that question, but she
Yep.
didn't answer the question.
She didn't answer the
So we
question.
didn't see a round of applause. No.
Nope.
This is pre-recorded.
Nope. Nope.
I mean,
Nope.
on terms. It was
Yep.
live. She gave me the answer live.
No.
I was okay. But still, I can't trust that, though. You know what I'm saying? Because
Pre-recorded.
all those answers, though. All
Really
those
cold.
answers, though, like she's flip-flopping. But I just feel like I can't trust her, bro. I
I feel like, y'all, I think I like the CNN did on that. They asked her all the questions that people wanted to know.
But it's pre-recorded.
That's when they began
Like,
dating.
that's on Kamala, bro. But they could have did like 3, 4, 5 different cuts. We don't know.
I know that's true.
But if they did cut, those were smooth ass cuts.
No, I didn't see any cuts.
That was
Bro,
smooth.
they could have re-recorded that whole interview multiple
Yep,
times.
multiple times. To the guy like, yep, run through the thing. Yep, yep.
But like it's crazy.
Am I wrong for being skeptical because it's pre-recorded?
Yep,
She got on her
recorded.
ass. If it was pretty like if she would have like if they would have did it, she would have got on her ass. You know what I'm saying? She
I
got
mean,
on
but
her
if
ass.
she knows,
You said this.
but listen though, if she knows the question's coming, she can formulate a pre-response accordingly.
Yep.
Questions. And like, it's like, look, this is what we're gonna ask you. She gonna be like, bet, I don't have the answers ready for that.
And
Like,
that's
how can
insane.
you trust that?
That she didn't have good answers.
So how can you trust that? Like, I feel like the answers that she gave were good answers for
Yep,
God.
yep, yep. The question.
Answer the actual answers.
So that CNN helped her every way possible, and then the questions were still bad. That exposes her even more.
We're literally watching the most powerful media that has been obviously picking a side. You doubt that they wouldn't pick a side.
I don't think they pick sides.
But
Oh, that's right.
CNN, when they do get the one-on-one with the person, they do be trying to get on their ass.
Oh, so they try to get their hands like people know, but they say like they know that people think they're gonna give them softball questions, so they have to ask like real questions. Like they're not gonna
Listen, Salo. The reason why I don't trust this because Trump and Vance are going on there, coming straight in, live, getting pressed like that. This is pre-recorded. They could have gave her the answers beforehand. So all she got to do is come in, knowing what to say when this question comes up. And then she flip-flopped on these answers, and she didn't directly answer a lot of those questions she asked. She just gave a really worthy response. So it's like, how can I trust this? How can I give her applause? I can't.
But it's not. The reason I say this good because like
It looks
She-
good. It sounds good.
He's still kind of like.
Is it good, though?
He said like what Dana? Is her name right?
Yeah. Dana.
Dana. She said she kind of said you're lying.
She
And
kinda
you
lied.
gotta see on the answer, like, when I see that, it's like
if you
they gonna rebuttal
if
between
you
that.
know, that when he come over, he gonna ask me about lying. All you gotta do is prepare your answer for that.
Yeah, I mean, we would never know.
Like that's what I'm saying. Like Trump and them getting on there and they sit down, getting pressed, live.
That's
They
what
dropping the footage.
Trump and Diddy are okay with getting on there doing that.
Okay,
The only reason they did this is because this was on Kamala's terms.
to make her look good.
Mhm.
Yes,
What
but
made it
Kamala
look good?
wanted this. They're going to say, no, Kamala, we have to do it live.
That would be fair. I would like that. If you're gonna do that, the other
They're not
way,
going
like,
to do that.
Okay, so
Okay,
so knowing that, why would I come over here and say, oh, this is a good thing? This is a good interview.
No, you didn't.
Well, we kind of see
Her two guys.
We see it somewhere where she's coming from.
Another issue, big one, is immigration. As Vice President, you were tasked with addressing the root causes of migration in southern countries and
Northern part of Central
the
America.
northern part of Central America that deals with, that affects the southern border of the U.S. During the Biden-Harris administration, there were record numbers of illegal border crossings. Why did the Biden-Harris administration wait 3.5 years to implement sweeping asylum restrictions?
Well, first of all, the root causes work that I did as vice president, that I was asked to do by the president, has actually resulted in a number of benefits, including historic investments by American businesses in that region. The number of immigrants coming from that region has actually reduced since we began that work. But I will say this, that Joe Biden and I, in our administration, worked with members of the United States Congress on an immigration issue that is very significant to the American people and to our security, which is the border. And through bipartisan work, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Congress, a bill was crafted, which we supported, which I support. And Donald Trump got word of this bill that would have contributed to securing our border, and because he believes that it would not have helped him politically, he told his folks in Congress, don't put it forward. He killed the bill. A border security bill that would have put 1,500 more agents on the border. And let me tell you something, the Border Patrol endorsed the bill. And I'm sure hard at work because they were working around the clock and 1,500 more agents would hit them. That bill would have allowed us to increase seizures of fentanyl. Ask any community in America that has been devastated by fentanyl what passing that bill would have done to address their concern and the pain that they've experienced.
So you would push that legislation again? I just want to
Not
ask
only
about
push it, I will make sure that it comes to my desk and I would sign it.
just one other question about something that you said in 2019 when you first ran. There was a debate, you raised your hand when asked whether or not the border should be decriminalized. Do you still believe that?
Great question.
I believe there should be consequence. We have laws that have to be followed and enforced that address and deal with people who cross our border illegally, and there should be consequence. And let's be clear, in this race, I'm the only person who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations who traffic in guns, drugs, and human beings. I'm the only person in this race who actually served a border state as Attorney General to enforce our laws, and I would enforce our laws as President going forward. I recognize the problem.
Generally speaking,
You
how
made
should
the problem.
voters
You
look
made
at
the
some
problem.
of the changes that you've
How can you
made,
believe this?
that you've explained some of here in your policy?
How can you believe anything?
Because you have more experience now and you've learned more about the information? Is it
You gotta believe.
because
You
you're
need to
running for
question.
president in a Democratic primary? And should they feel
Anything.
comfortable and
You
confident
gotta believe.
that what you're saying now is going to be your policy moving forward?
Dana, I think the most important and most significant aspect of my policy perspective and decisions is my values have not changed. You mentioned the Green New Deal. I have always believed,
So then,
and I've worked on it, that the climate crisis is real, that it is an urgent matter to which we should apply metrics that include holding ourselves to deadlines around time. We did that with the Inflation Reduction Act. We have set goals for the United States of America and by extension the globe around when we should meet certain standards for reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. As an example, that value has not changed. My value around what we need to do to secure our border, that value has not changed. I spent 2 terms as the Attorney General of California prosecuting transnational criminal organizations, violations of American laws regarding the illegal passage of guns, drugs, and human beings across our border. My values have not changed. So that is the reality of it. And 4 years of being vice president, I'll tell you, one of the aspects to your point is traveling the country extensively. I mean, I'm here in Georgia. I think somebody told me 17 times since I've been vice president in Georgia alone. I believe it is important to build consensus, and it is important to find a common place of understanding of where we can actually solve problems.
On that note, you had a lot of Republican speakers at the convention. Will you appoint a Republican to your cabinet?
Yes, I would.
Anyone
Yes, I
sign?
would. No one in particular in mind. We got 68 days to go with this election, so I'm not putting the cart before the horse. But I would. I think it's really important. I have spent my career inviting diversity of opinion. I think it's important to have people at the table when some of the most important decisions are being made that have different views, different experiences. And I think it would be to the benefit of the American public to have a member of my cabinet who was a Republican.
I'll
wow.
ask you about your opponent,
Wow.
Donald Trump. I was a little bit surprised. People might be surprised to hear that you have never interacted with him, met him face to face. That's going to change soon. But what I want to ask you about is what he said last month. He suggested that you happened to turn black recently for political purposes, questioning a core part of your identity.
I just don't see a black woman when I look at her.
And he's same old tired playbook. Next question, please.
Curly hair.
That's it? That's it? Okay. Let's talk about some foreign policy issues that
So
would
black
be on
faces.
plate if you become
Those are
commander
black
in chief.
faces.
President Biden has tried unsuccessfully to end the war between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. He's been doing it for months and months, along with you. Would you do anything differently? For example, would you withhold some U.S. weapons shipments to Israel? That's what a lot of people on the progressive left want you to do.
Let me be very clear. I'm unequivocal and unwavering in my commitment to Israel's defense and its ability to defend itself. and that's not going to change. But let's take a step back. October 7th, 1,200 people were massacred. Many young people who were simply
Motorcycles.
It sound like you deal with them. That motherfucker say motorcycles or not motorcycles. Yep, that's exactly what it
it's
sounds
more
like.
than shampoo. It's scared.
Oh, you can know this boy.
Attending a music festival. Women were horribly raped. As I said then, I say today, Israel has a right to defend itself. We would. And how it does so matters. Far too many innocent Palestinians have been killed. And we have got to get a deal done. We were in Doha. We have to get a deal done. This war must end. And we must get a deal that is about getting the hostages out. I've met with the families of the American hostages. Let's get the hostages out. Let's get the ceasefire done.
But no change in policy in terms of arms and so forth.
No, we have to get a deal done.
What was that?
Dana, we have to get a deal done. When you look at
Just didn't answer the
the
question.
significance of this to the families, to the people who are living in that region, a deal is not only the right thing to do to end this war, but will unlock so much of what must happen next. I remain committed since I've been on October 8th to what we must do to work toward a two-state solution, where Israel is secure and in equal measure the Palestinians have security and self-determination and dignity.
So then they can change
You know what this sound like? It sound like when she talk, it sound like just when she talking to her on the subway, it's just like bird. Those
she's good. I'm telling you, she makes it sound good. But it's like when you really listen to what's being said and really look at how the answer is being applied to the question that's asked. It's like you're just trying to sound good. Like you're making it sound good. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't sound good because you know it's bull, bro. It's like, how can you believe this? How can you really listen to it and see that this is a genuine person? But like, if you're an uninformed voter and you don't have any information on these topics, and this is her answer to the topic, you may think you know something because she didn't answer if she got to keep funding the guns. She didn't answer whether she's going to deport millions of illegals and what they're going to do about the illegals being here. She didn't answer.
She did answer. She's not going to change her policy.
Okay, so she's going to leave them here.
Yes.
So she wanted that bill. The reason why the Republicans didn't back the border bill, Ted Cruz said that bill was designed to fail. It's going to be put in place. It's going to continue to fail. That only means two things. They're going to put that in place and let it fail and say we have a border bill. It's messed up and we can't fix the problem.
But
I'm also afraid that people said no. We need a real solution.
my question is why did she say we had a deal with?
They didn't say they're going to get a deal. They didn't say
What makes they have a deal with investments in Mexico?
Yeah, she said in that region. She said we're making all these investments in that region. We're doing all that. She said, what does that mean? How does that benefit Americans? Like, you didn't say you're making jobs in America because the job market is not as good as y'all are reporting it. The illegal immigration issue, where the bill they can talk about. So she said they're going to add more border patrol agents. But the Biden administration was already trying to threaten the French border patrol agents for doing their job at the border. So adding more people that you're not allowed to do their job is not going to fix the issue.
No,
so this is like it's all BS. It's all BS.
They'll send them down there so they can put some more bonfires from it.
Oh my God! It's time solved. The border patrol not being able to do their job. It's like, bro, we have to go there.
Bro, the Israel-Palestine question literally pointed out the obvious for food and food home. Also, what she just said when everybody protected.
Yeah, October 7th is bad.
They got this out there. The same simple stuff. Bro, she definitely said she'll say a whole lot and then it's like a whole lot of
That part 3? This is the part 3 this year.
Bro, like, I mean, people say that she's doing Obama, but like, she's gonna be like Obama. I don't really feel about you back and watch Obama. It's like,
Obama's not there.
Obama could get
It's much bullshit. But it is what it is.